Hi, welcome back to Relationship Stuff. I'm Angelica Shields and I like to talk about relationship stuff, whether it's your relationship with yourself, your relationship with other people, or your relationship with something like eating or spending or discipline or even your own emotions. Let's get into it. Today we're going to talk about a topic that comes up a lot in therapy, and that is, how do I have a better self-esteem? How do I be less insecure? How do I be more confident? So before we get into it, I want to define what is a healthy self-esteem, because in some ways I think our society has gotten away from it. I think nowadays people might describe a self-esteem as always regarding or esteeming yourself highly. I think some people think high self-esteem means always going into the meeting, the interview, the social situation with complete confidence and no nervousness, and always knowing that what you're going to bring to the table is going to be well received. Unfortunately, I don't think that's how humans work. And I like the psychologist Nathaniel Branden's description of what healthy self-esteem is. He was a psychologist back in the 1960s, I believe, and he wrote several books on the topic. He describes self-esteem as basically accurate self-assessment. From my psychological perspective, I look at that and think it's not just accurately seeing yourself for who you are, it's being able to be in a moment, to bring that self to the moment courageously, daringly, sometimes comfortably and sometimes not comfortably, but not avoiding it or hiding it. And also, with that accurate self-assessment, I throw some cognitive behavioral therapy in there, and I think to myself, what are some things that get in the way of accurate self-assessment? There are a lot of people who go around with a certain way of thinking about themselves, about other people, about the world around them, that might not be consistent with reality and might color the way that they see themselves or their ability to bring themselves to a moment without intense anxiety or an instinct to avoid. There was a book that came out, I believe in 2012-ish, and it's just called Self-Esteem. It's white and has a big sunflower on the cover, and cognitive behavioral therapists teamed up to write the book, and I highly recommend it. And this book kind of subscribes to Nathaniel Branden's definition of what self-esteem in a healthy way looks like, where you're not thinking you're always great, but you're not thinking you're always inferior, but you're accurately assessing yourself. You're not too defensive, and you're not wearing a mask, and you're not pretending, and you're also not hiding yourself. But this book, like I said, was written by cognitive behavioral therapists. So they talk a lot about the lens through which you see yourself, other people in the world. And a lot of times, the lenses through which we see ourselves, other people in the world, have very little to do with reality and have a lot to do with our core beliefs. Here's a research study that keeps being replicated. You would think people who identify as highly insecure and have social anxiety and low self-esteem would have more experiences with rejection in their lives. That makes intuitive sense, right? They're accurately perceiving the fact that they're rejectable. Absolutely not right. 9 times out of 10, our behaviors don't come from reality. They come from our core beliefs. The social psychologist can guess 9 times out of 10, our core beliefs drive our perceptions of the world instead of actual reality. So there was no difference in the number of rejections or poor social experiences with the people that felt that they were rejectable and the people that thought they had a lot to offer. I'm a pretty great person. Why wouldn't you want to be friends with me? So that's food for thought. If you made one mistake in the presentation, but other than that, it went off amazingly, but you can't stop thinking about how you messed up the word or you messed up the chart. That's less to do with reality, that you didn't do a good job, and more to do with the lens through which you saw that experience. So my practical suggestion for you is not make a list of all the great things that you did. It's not make a list of all the times when other people thought you were amazing and wanted to be your friends and gave you compliments and awards. It's actually notice when you want to categorize yourself as good or bad. And notice when that categorization influences whether you give yourself permission to show up, whether you give yourself permission to say your perspective, to take the risk, to have the conversation, to make the joke, to apply for the job. Notice when your pursuit of putting yourself in a category of good or bad, which is primarily based on your lens, remember, not on reality. Notice when that desire to categorize yourself or your behavior in a moment informs your desire to hold back and make yourself small. And I believe Nathaniel Branden would say, it's not cognitively, logically perceiving yourself accurately, knowing your flaws and knowing your strengths. It's that being able to show up, to breathe through the tightness and the trying to make yourself okay and try to make yourself fit an image of who you want to be. Being able to relax into who you actually are in a moment. Show up in your moments. And I believe the more we show up in our moments, side note, the more risks we take, the more we end up impressing ourselves. And you can't fake that, you can't list that, you can't give yourself an affirmation that, oh, that makes me great. You can't adjust the lens without adjusting it from the inside out. Start with practicing what I just said. And I am hoping that helps cultivate a real healthy self-esteem. All right, have a good one. Bye.